Hello and welcome to the inaugural Actual Tech Media DemoCast. On today's event, we're excited to be featuring data protection from Arcserve. Now, before we jump into the demo, there's a few things you need to know about today's event. So this DemoCast series is a new regular series of events from Actual Tech Media where you'll learn about one product or technology by seeing it in action and all in under 30 minutes, which is what's going to happen today. Let's hope. It's a live event, so you never know. But the really cool thing about these events is that in less time that it takes you to eat your lunch, you can skip the salesy stuff and just jump right into a product or technology and learn about it from some really cutting edge companies. So the Twitter hashtag for today's DemoCast is, you guessed it, DemoCast, and I'll be monitoring Twitter throughout the event. You can always chat with me. I'm David M. Davis, and we are Actual Tech Media. And if you have questions during the event, please use the GoToWebinar questions box to answer them. We want this to be a really educational event. We have an expert here on data protection to help answer your data protection questions. And so, use that question box as much as you want, and we'll have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of the event. Now, on the DemoCast, you might be interested in our $50 Amazon gift card that I'll be announcing the winner of at the end of this live event. So with that, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about who we are. So my name is David M. Davis, and I'm the moderator for today's event. I'm an 8-time VMware vExpert. I'm author of numerous video training courses and a partner at Actual Tech Media. I'm excited to be joined by Mr. Stacy Budd. He's a principal consultant at Arcserve. He's our expert on data protection for today. Thanks so much for joining us today, Stacy.
Yeah, thank you very much. Glad to be here. Very excited to be on this inaugural DemoCast here today. If you're not familiar with Arcserve, right? Arcserve's been around for, we were looking at the numbers earlier, 27 years, something like that, 25, 27 years. So been in the industry, been in the backup disaster recovery industry for quite some time. 2.5 years ago, we became an independent company, and I've been part of that journey. I was part of the journey before that as well, and it's been fantastic kind of, the research and everything that's behind 100% what we do, backup and disaster recovery, and the speed of development, if you will, right, as far as that goes as well. So I've seen quite a bit expansion when it comes to that. When we look at, that we've been recognized, across the industry with awards and recognition from VMware, from all different things, PC Pro, IT Pro, CRN, I mean, you name it. You can read the slide here as well. We do have a global presence, so although we are an independent company, we are a global company as well. So we do have, presences, all the way across the globe, but our headquarters is in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and let me tell you, I'm glad to be in Florida. Although we're a little cold, nothing like it gets up there. When we look at what we do, right? We're going to talk today about Arcserve Unified Data Protection. So it's not what if you're familiar with Arcserve in the past, right? You might be familiar with the direct-to-tape kind of product. We're going to talk about our imaging product, our disk imaging product gives you much more flexibility. We'll talk about that as well. When we look at our breadth of customers, of course, we have customers spanning the globe, right? Partners spanning the globe as well. So that gives us a lot of capabilities when we have customers that are in specific industries and they want, to know how other customers are using our products. We can a lot of times leverage that. So I think that's enough kind of talking about who we are. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring up my server here. I'm going to slide it over onto this screen, and we'll just kind of take you through a little bit of a journey of Arcserve Unified Data Protection. We're going to do this high level, but please, ask your questions in the chat box. We'll definitely hold those till the end, but we will try to get to as many as we can, and if we can't get to them all, we'll try to follow up with you as well to get those questions answered for you. When you look at Unified Data Protection, the goal of this product is really a couple of different things. Number one is we want to make the experience easy for users, right? We want to make it so that whether you're doing backups, whether you're doing restores, configuration, you don't need to break out a manual that's 3 inches thick on how do I do this, right? So to that kind of goal here, we're going to be working with a unified data, one console. We're going to start out with a dashboard. When you first log in, now I went ahead and logged in here, but you're going to be first presented with just a quick overview. What's your storage look like? What's your disk look like, right? So if you do want to, what's the state of your backups look like, right? So you can turn around and quickly, just at a glance, see if there's anything that you need to address. And if there were any problems, you could go directly in and you could click on that and it would take you directly to there. The resources tab is we're going to do 90% of everything we do within Unified Data Protection. This is where I can add machines if I want to add machines, and I can add them from qualified domain name, IP address, bring them in from the virtualization vendor like VMware or Hyper-V, right? Bring them in through Active Directory. So a number of different ways I can bring in and import machines, but it's all within this section. Right? If I'm ready to create my backup plans, once I've made that list, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to choose the all plans. We also have a wizard to simplify this for you, but today we're going to take a look at some plans that I already have made just to kind of show you what those are. Now I know, we said super easy backup of physical and virtual machines, and that's what I'm going to kind of show you. I'm going to show you if we take a look at this particular machine right here is a physical machine. It's my Active Directory server. If we take a look at this, right, I'm going to choose a source, a destination, a schedule, and I'm going to choose an advanced tab. Advanced is going to be email notifications, log truncation for SQL and Exchange, and those kind of things. Really what I just kind of want to show you is you're always going to make in those choices, source, destination, schedule, and advanced. That's really going to be what we're going to be looking at. If I go into an agentless backup, right, and here's one that I'm doing, an agentless backup. This happens, I believe, to be, yep, so this is a Linux machine, but it is a virtual machine. So the only difference is that we've specified a proxy server. So that's where, in this case, VMware is going to be providing the snapshot out to. If it was Hyper-V, they'd provide the snapshot out to there. That's any machine that has a UDP agent on it. It sometimes can be virtual, sometimes it can be physical. A lot of times it's what we call our recovery point server, our backup server, if you will. Now, when we talk about UDP, there's two stories that I always hear with UDP when I talk to existing customers, and that's speed of backup, and that is the space that it takes on the disk, because we're going to be intelligently looking at that data, deduplicating the data at a global level in memory, in line, so that we're only going to be writing the unique data as far as that goes. When we look at our destination, all we're going to define is we're going to define a destination. We're going to call that our recovery point server. So that's going to be direct attached SAN, NAS, something like that, some type of disk location that you're going to be going to. Now, that data store we've already configured for deduplication, encryption, compression. So nowhere within the plan do you have to worry about, okay, I need to turn on encryption or compression or deduplication, because it's already been defined. So again, just making it very simple, go in and you can add machines to existing plans, or you can quickly create a new plan and just say go to this destination. When we look at a schedule, we're going to support daily, weekly, monthly, infinite incrementals if you want to do that. So if you want to schedule full backups, you can schedule full backups as well. And you'll define your retention policy. And you can have multiples of these. So like in this particular plan I have a daily incremental happening, but I can also add a weekly incremental, a monthly incremental, or if I want to throw a full backup in there, I can do that as well. I could do backups throughout the day, maybe every 15 minutes, every 30 minutes. Really depends on your data change, right, on how frequently we can do those backups, but definitely you can be very aggressive with your backup schedules to give you a better recovery point objective and all of that as well. Now the last was just the advanced tab. Remember I mentioned this one. This is where we do our log truncation, SQL Exchange, and those kind of things. This doesn't really change. So what's important is whether I'm backing up workstations, Linux machines, Windows machines, physical machines, virtual machines. This configuration, this setting up of your plans is going to be, quick, easy, and it's not going to be a different console. It's not going to be a different experience. There's a few minor differences, but they're very, very minor as far as that goes. So it's very easy for you to go on and create those plans. And if you're all physical today and you roll out virtual tomorrow, you know, and you're 50-50 or not, or 80-20 or whatever it is, you don't have to worry about changing your solution to support that other environment. So we're going to definitely support that. Now, when we look at some of the things that we do, right, like let's say we're going to move this off to tape, because right now we're backing up to disk. Well, now that I have this backup configured, I can easily go in and choose add a task, and I'm going to have quite a bit of options here. So the first task, we can go through and we can look at that copy to tape. So if I do want to go ahead and move my data off to tape, I can quickly go in, choose copy to tape. My source is my backup data. I have a little notification on here. It's just letting me know that, hey, I didn't turn on cataloging. So I can easily go back into my plan and I can go in and I can turn on cataloging. The benefit of this is that it's going to give me granular restore from tape, right? So it gave me a quick, easy notification that, hey, you don't have cataloging on. If you want granular restore, turn it on. So we've done that. Our destination will be our backup server here. And we're going to just choose the normal things that you would choose with tape backup. Do you want to multiplex? Do you want to encrypt? Do you want to compress? And this will be a full backup of that data that goes over to disk or to tape, excuse me. And then you'll have your schedule that we can put in and your notifications and those kind of things. Maybe I don't want to go to tape. Maybe I want to go to cloud. Maybe I want to go replicate to cloud and I want to go to tape. We can definitely do those things as well. We can go in and we can add multiples. I can keep putting in multiple tasks, but what I'm going to do is just go over this one task that we just did. I'll switch it to a replicate task. So if I want to go out to cloud, I want to go out to Amazon, I want to go out to Azure, I want to go out to the Arcserve cloud, right? I can simply go in, choose a replication task, choose my destination, which will be a remote recovery point server that it will be going to. Choose my schedule. When do I want to replicate the data out there? What's my retention policy in the cloud? And again, notifications, those kind of things around the replication plan. Once that data's up in the cloud, we can do several things with it. And I should say, even when it's local, right? We can do bare metal restores. We can do file level restore, granular restore as far as that goes. If it's a virtual machine, recover the VM back into a virtual environment. What's up in the cloud, not only do we have the backups up in the cloud, but depending on the cloud solution, right, you can definitely have some DR capabilities in there as well. So if you go to the Arcserve cloud, you can do what we call instant VM, where you can take that virtual machine, that backup, that's a physical or virtual machine, and convert it to a virtual machine and give you the ability to spin it up quickly in the cloud, access it, and this is a feature that's specific to the Arcserve cloud. Now, if you wanted to take your data and send it to Amazon or Azure, you can definitely move your data there. You can recover it from there, but the DR capability is not there in those cloud locations. So if you're looking for DR in the cloud, that's when the Arcserve cloud comes in as a benefit for you as far as that goes. Now what I'm going to do is show you a couple of restore capabilities. We're going to start out with one of my favorite restores, which is Instant VM, which, you know, let's make sure my VMware environment's up and running there. And I do have one running. So what we're going to do is delete this one I have running. Sorry about that. And we're just going to go up and we're going to take advantage of that instant VM feature that I was just speaking about. This is that capability that you might use in the cloud, you might use local. This is fantastic if you get hit by ransomware. And I'm doing frequent backups and I want to be able to recover my machine, you know, from quickly, bring it up on a different network, bring it up on the same network. I may just use this for a proof of life capability, right? So all we're going to do is we're going to go in, we're going to right click, and we're going to choose create an instant VM. Once you do that option, you're going to go through 4 easy steps that allow you to spin this up. If you use one of our appliances, you can do this directly on that appliance itself as well. So we're going to choose our latest backup, but we could go to one of our previous backups as well. We're then going to go into and provide our credentials. And then our next step is, where do we want to spin it up on? What's our virtual environment? In our case, we'll stick with VMware, right? So I have one host, which will populate in a moment, and we'll choose that. But if you had multiple hosts, you could choose the particular host that you have. Then you're going to choose the server that's going to do the emulation. This particular method, Instant VM, utilizes emulation. So there's no resource requirement as far as storage or anything like that. We do also offer what's called virtual standby, which gives you the capability to do monitoring and automatic failover and those kind of things as well. That you do create a virtual machine off of, right? So that's more of a proactive approach, right? Whereas Instant VM is more reactive, and I can choose where I want to come from when we do that. Now, we're going to choose the server that we want to do the emulation. Again, it can be our backup server, or it can be a different server, maybe a server that's just for that specific role, right? It's just set aside in order to do that. We're going to give it a prefix within vCenter. We're going to give it a prefix within our console. We're going to choose a folder on that machine I designated as the recovery server, just to cache any changes, and it also is where it's going to mount the VMDKs, or if it was Hyper-V, it'd mount the VHDs, and it's where it would show. What kind of resources do I want to give that machine? Do I want to connect an adapter? If we connect an adapter, we could choose the same default IP settings, or we could change those settings as well. We're going to finish, boot now, and in just a few minutes, about 4 minutes in my environment, this machine will be up and running and we can access it. So we can log into it and we can start working with it. Now, I didn't connect it to a network, but in a few minutes we'll be able to tab over here and be able to actually access that. Now, I don't want to waste your time looking at a blank screen, so what we're going to do is come back to this. A couple other restores that I thought might be beneficial for you to see today as well. Exchange restore, right? If your Exchange isn't in the cloud yet and you still have on-prem Exchange, you more than likely are going to have to restore some Exchange capability within there. So we definitely have that capability in the product. And as you can see, we can restore calendar events, contacts, emails. So I'm in a particular mailbox and I can drill down into there. I can, of course, search and all that as well. So we're going to have very granular restore within Exchange of being able to restore that. And your restore options are going to be to restore to the original, or restore to, restore to an alternate location, maybe a PST, something like that as well. You can do that too. So you do have a couple of different options here where you want to restore that data to. Alternatively, too, other restore options. I'm not gonna go through all of these, but if we take a look, we're going to be looking at the ability to restore Active Directory, granularly drill down into Active Directory, into an object, into an attribute of the object. So maybe like a user, or maybe I want to go in and restore just an attribute of that user, put them back in a group or a member of, something like that as well. Or we could even do higher level, right? If you ever do, unfortunately, have to restore all your users, we could do that. And if you even want to go higher, we can do that. We can do authoritative and non-authoritative restores. We can recover a VM. So this is why I've backed up a virtual machine, and now I want to restore that whole entire VM back into the virtual environment. We can browse what we call browse recovery points. This is granular restore. So even if it's a virtual machine and we've done agentless backup, so no agent required to back up VMware and Hyper-V, as long as you have their storage APIs, we'll leverage that, and we can do an agentless backup in most cases. There's a few exceptions here and there, but for most cases, it's going to be an agentless backup in those environments. Then we can go in, we can browse our different backup destinations when we did our backups, what the timestamp was in case I did multiples, and just browse down into that drive, that volume, find the file I want to restore, and then restore to original or alternate location. We can do the same exact thing, but we can go through Windows Explorer to do it as well. So here I've browsed out to, oops, go back there really quick. I've already browsed out, if we can see this, if not I can start from the beginning, but I've already browsed out to my backup destination, and we can just browse that backup and go into it in this method and be able to browse it there as well. So it gives us that granular restore capability, not only through the console, but then also through through File Explorer too, right? So that is the capability within File Explorer in order to do that. If we jump back over, there's my machine coming back up online. It's almost ready here, and we can see just in a few minutes. Now remember, this is a feature that we can do in the Arcserve cloud, so that's a great DR capability if you need to actually spin that up and have that online, DR capability, in a matter of, it took 4 minutes. If you have your own DR location, right, you could definitely leverage that as well. So with that, I think we're pretty good there. David, did I miss anything that we had on our list?
I think you showed us how to back up, physical virtual machines. You showed us how to recover virtual machines, files, exchange mailboxes even. We talked about disaster recovery in the cloud. What about, like, if I have a lot of backup data, it's growing over time, I don't want to keep it on site. Can I archive data up to the cloud?
No, fantastic question. So you absolutely can do that. And if we go back into one of our plans here, right, simply by, let's just choose my Active Directory server, for example. If I want to archive data off, now there's two ways to do this. And what I mean is there's the hard and factual term of archive, and then there's, what some people may just consider, hey, I want to copy the data there. Right, so we have both capabilities. If I want to remove the data from the source, I can just add the task of file archive, and it will remove the data from the source and it will archive it to a cloud destination, Amazon, Azure, something like that, a bucket that you're going to drop it in. So we're going to choose a source. I'm going to choose my C drive. Probably you would never actually do this, but you're just going to go in and add your filters. What do you want to move? Probably not all your files. We can move something like our help files or something like that as well. We can put in, of course, filters, because you don't want to move everything. So when was the file last accessed? What's the size of the file? When was it last modified? Or when was it created? Those kind of filters. And we'll leave behind a stub file which will direct the user how to restore that data, who to contact, where it's located, those kind of things, so that they'll be able to easily get to that by contacting their administrator, who can pull it back down through the console. Now the other option I spoke of was file copy. So maybe I want to move data to the cloud, but I don't want to move my entire backups. I can do something very similar, add a file copy task, which copies data from my local backup up to a cloud location. And does not delete it from the source in this case, and just works with your retention policy and all of that. And up in the cloud, you're going to have versioning, retention settings, all of that up in the cloud as well. So those are capabilities as far as that goes. Great question.
Got it. And of course, the cloud is a popular destination for moving your data these days. But, what if I had just another data center maybe, and I have some storage over there, and I just want to get my backup data off-site? Is it the same process, or is there some other, do you do replication, or how does that work with Arcserve?
Right, so it's going to be that same process as far as replicating up to the cloud.
Okay.
You're going to have another backup server, another recovery point server, and that's one of the beauties to our product is it doesn't really change. You're going to get the same functionality. You're going to get the WAN optimized replication. You're going to get the deduplication. By the way, we're going to be replicating deduplicated data, so we're going to use less bandwidth to send that data from one location to the other. We can take advantage of data seeding and those kind of things. And whether that's an MSP location, whether that is a co-location that a customer might have, or it's in the cloud, we don't really need to re-architect our product. The customer doesn't need to learn a different process in order to do that. So it's going to support all of those.
Very nice. And if I had, I guess to take that a step further, if I had a secondary location I wanted to replicate my backup data to, and also up to the cloud, I could just create another, replication job to send it those two different places. Is that true?
Absolutely. You could do it A to B to C, even another chain in there if you want to do that as well. You can absolutely do that.
Very nice, very nice. And so you showed us the virtual appliance that you're deploying over there in vSphere. Can you tell us what's the exact purpose of that?
Well, it's twofold. Number one, DR testing, right? I've done I've backed up my data. Let me be able to verify that it's backed up, it's accessible, and those kind of things, right? So one feature right there. Another one would be, the crypto locker kind of example, the ransomware example, right? I get infected by ransomware, and I need to do a quick restore. Maybe I don't want that machine to come on the same network, right? While I'm cleaning my network, I want to have it publicly accessible, but I don't want it on my infected network. So I could bring it up on the same network or a different network. And it gives me flexibility of being able to browse my backups and choose which one I want to be able to restore from. Because we are imaging and because we are taking advantage of infinite incrementals, you can back up much faster, and there's much less impact on the client machines, sometimes based on the amount of data. Now, it's going to be unique to each server, the role of the server, right, how much changes, those kind of things, but definitely sometimes doing a more frequent backup will lessen the overall impact and make it much more possible. So maybe instead of doing a daily backup, you're doing a backup twice a day, 3 times a day, every hour. You can put a value on that data itself and be able to determine what you need your RPO to do, and we should work with that for you.
Very nice, very nice. So we've got about 4 minutes left here in the DEMOCAST. I want to try to stick to the schedule and let these folks get back to work. So now is the time for Q&A. If you're out there, you have a question for Stacy, go ahead and put it in the questions box there. We have just a few minutes left for that. If you want to download Arcserve UDP, try it out for yourself on your own infrastructure. You see the link up there on the screen. I'm going to go ahead and put the URL to do that in the chat box there. If you want to click on that, that'll take you directly to that download page to try out Arcserve. Stacy, one of the questions here from the audience is, kind of what's the time to deploy? What's it take to get it up and running?
Yeah, so great question. So, it depends on what we're looking at, right? If we're doing a software deployment, right, it's going to take a little bit of time. The footprint of the product's about 3 gigs, depending on what you deploy and what components that you do. Maybe it's a little bit larger as far as that goes. 15, 20 minutes, to do the install and configuration, and then once you start importing the machines, one of the beauties of the product is just how quick the configuration can be. It really depends on knowledge and those kind of things and stuff like that. But we're here also to help with that process. So if you run into any hiccups or anything like that, but I can usually sit on a call with a customer, and from install to configuration, we can get that up quickly done and available to them. What we run into and things that slow us down are the typical things, like people not knowing their passwords. It does happen, unfortunately, but to deploy the product, not long. 15, 20 minutes to deploy it. Configuration is going to take a little bit longer, depending on your knowledge of your environment and those kind of things.
Very nice, very nice. So 15, 20 minutes, you could download it and have it at least just testing, in a lab and back up a VM and do a restore maybe.
You could even go through that configuration wizard, to quickly take you step by step through that and just do a basic backup, and that's 5 steps and you're done once you have it deployed.
Very nice. And what are the requirements?
When we look at the requirements, fantastic question. We do have on our website, we have a resource estimator. There's different pieces to this. So when we're looking at the software, right, we need to make sure we deploy that correctly. Deduplication can be, depending on the amount of data that you have, it can be memory intensive. So every environment's going to be a little bit different. So it depends on the components. We don't have a, hey, 100%. This is going to be your requirements, because it's going to depend on your retention policy. It's going to depend on your frequency of your backups, and it's going to depend on the type of data that you're backing up as well, as far as deduplication and those kind of things. So every customer we try to work with, so that we make sure we scale out that recovery point server correctly, and we scale it out to future-proof it, right? So they're at the end of 6 months, they're not outgrowing that machine, and they know what to expect. As they have that longer-term retention, they start doing that. That tool also suggests which appliance would fit in as well for you. So that tool gives you memory, storage recommendations, and it also gives you appliance recommendations there too.
Excellent, excellent. Well, it looks like we're out of time for today's DemoCast. I want to go ahead and announce our prize winner. That is Dirk Wise. We'll be contacting you via email to deliver your $50 Amazon gift card. Congratulations. I appreciate everyone else who attended on the event today. And I want to remind everyone out there to watch your email inbox for more invitations to future DemoCasts in the series. Like you see, they're short, they're fun, and we learned something. Stacey, really excellent demo today. Thanks so much for showing us Arcserve UDP.
My pleasure. Man, everybody have a wonderful day.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.